Hello and welcome to the season 3 premiere of Take a Break with Bri. I am Brianna, also known as Bri. On today's show, I will be discussing some hot topics and answering some viewer and live studio audience questions with my lovely panelists. We will also have a performance by the collective. Please be aware, tonight's show may contain adult and controversial conversation. Viewer discretion is advised. Please feel free to comment on the Facebook live stream. We will try and respond to all questions and comments. Please look out for the edited recording on my YouTube channel, Bri. I would now like to introduce my panelists, have them introduce themselves, and tell the audience where they can find you on social media.
How y'all doing? My name is Linus, Son of God on Instagram. Linus, Linus, Ray, R-A-Y on Facebook.
He's done. Linus, thank you so much for joining me today.
I'm Korey Thomas. You can follow me on Facebook under the same name, Korey Thomas. That's with a K, K-O-R-E-Y. On Instagram as Excalibur Steel, X-C-A-L-I-T-U-R-S-T-E-E-L.
And I am Larry Harris. You can find people on Facebook, Aries for Life Marvin, and Aries for Life on Instagram.
All right, thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining me this evening. I would also like to thank Chris Michael. He's going to be in the audience. If you have any questions for my audience members, and he'll also be monitoring the social media comments, letting me know if anyone has anything to say. So thank you, Chris Michael, for joining me this evening. As well as a big shout out to Mathieu, who's behind the camera. Thank you so much for doing that for me this evening. We're going to jump right in. We're a little bit behind, but that's okay, because we're going to keep it moving right along. So again, tonight's show is themed Current Racial Climate in America. Let me ask you all this. In June 2008, according to Gallup News, 58% of Americans said race relations between white and blacks were somewhat good, and 23% said somewhat bad. In 2016, 8 years later, a similar study was conducted by Gallup, showing 46% said somewhat good, and 32% said somewhat bad. More than a third, 35%, of Americans now say they are worried a great deal about race relations in the U.S., which is the highest percentage it's been since Gallup first conducted the study in 2001. Are you surprised at this change? Why not? Speaking of mic.
I would have to. That's because of the election, of course. That was right around 2008 when.
You talking about the election of Obama? Okay.
In 2009, actually, when he took office. So, I believe that's where that change came from.
Interesting. Would you agree?
Around that time, a lot of crazy stuff started happening, like stuff I've never seen.
Mm-hmm.
You know, well, the stuff that you heard about, but physically to actually see it, like to have these people on TV where they have people on there and saying, you know, that's supposed to be Barack Obama, and, you know, just all of this crazy stuff, and then to have children repeat after the grown-ups and the grown-ups.
Yeah, that's right.
Come on.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's.
But you know what's interesting, because you all know I do my research, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I thought Obama as well, but come to find out, a lot of white Americans voted for him. And then to vote for him twice. What really was the ultimate change was cell phone video footage of police brutality. That was the curtail that changed it really. Did Obama receive racist comments and racism? Absolutely. But he was elected twice.
I was called Mr. the whole time.
He was. So I didn't think of that at first, is that now social media is so prominent now. I mean, people have to, it's sad to say that we have to actually, as Black Americans, I feel like I have to have my cell phone on if I get pulled over by a police officer.
I mean, sad to say, on the way here, there was a young boy getting pulled up in front of my house by a police officer. It was 2 cops in one car and then another one pulled up. And I'm like, this boy got to be 16,
Wow.
15 years old. But then these other boys come around and they all got their cell phones out instantly. You know, and that's the culture that has been created because it's not safe for us out here.
Yeah.
And you know, it hurts my feelings that people don't realize that.
Right.
Like I don't see no Caucasian men getting shot by the police.
Yeah. There was a cell phone footage just recently, maybe like 2 days ago. There was a young Caucasian male. He was tased. He basically was like Superman. He took the 2 little prongs out of his chest, pulled him out, charged at the officer. The officer dropped his gun, started running away from the guy. Then the guy jumps in the police car. Not once was a bullet flown. Not one time.
Of course not.
Not one time. And it just amazes me
It don't amaze me.
that the melanin in my skin determines
I don't know the whole
how
story,
you react.
so
It don't amaze me
I can't.
at all.
The whole, and that's a great point. Linus said he doesn't know the whole story, and that's been a lot of the defenses of these cell phone videos and cell phone footage. Is a lot of people saying we don't have the whole story.
But at the same time, it's been video that was uploaded where we've seen it like from the beginning or whatever the case. No guns were involved as far as the victim, and they still were killed.
Right.
But they still was conflict and stuff like that. So I'm not surprised at all that the Caucasian counterpart did not get shot or anything like that. They're all, the Caucasian counterpart is always taken into custody. You know, the African American male and or female, you're guilty just because you're African American. That's the
funny.
way it's done.
Do you think that's just in them to just save what they're
Themselves?
I don't want to say themselves.
I mean, I personally think that America is institutionally racist. Like, people in America grow up knowing the N-word, and the N-word is bad.
Yeah.
Like, you don't go to places like, you know, places that don't have a lot of Black people, and they have that same culture. It's just, we've always been separated. You know, so from the time that we were slaves up till now, it's always been us or them. It's never been America, because truthfully, neither one of us are Americans. But, you know.
We're not niggas. Hello.
So, I mean, it's
Yeah.
always been us or them.
Nobody.
Us or them.
Yeah, and go ahead.
No, I just wanted to say I got a quick thing to say. I was at work, of course, and some people do know me. My brother passed away, and you know, there was a guy at my job. His grandmother passed away, and then maybe three days later, his grandfather passed away. Now, they gave him a card. They got a card for him. His grandmother, when she passed away, they got a card. Everybody signed it. It was great. His grandfather passed away. They got a card. It was great. Everything was awesome. Me, I didn't get anything. No card, no nothing. And then I started to think about it, of course. But then I said, you know, it's okay, it's fine. And then another gentleman at my job, he didn't know that somebody in my family passed away. And he was like, why didn't they get you a card? And I said nothing like that. So I was like, you know, I don't know, I'm not really sure. So he goes up to the front office and he asks, you know, why did I receive a card since, you know, everybody else received a card, but, you know, everybody else that received a card is a different complexion than I.
And it's not like they didn't know, because I'm assuming you took bereavement.
Of course. I did the same thing. And I didn't say, hey, my brother, he committed suicide. I'm gonna be out for a few days, but don't tell nobody. Or I didn't say he passed on, but tell everybody. That's not what you do when you call in and you say, hey,
right.
Somebody passed away in my family. Some people might say, don't tell nobody.
Yeah.
Or some people don't say anything. They just say somebody passed away in my family. I won't be at work. And that's the same thing he did. He didn't say, oh, don't tell nobody or tell everyone or give me a card. You know what? Give me a card. I need a card. I'm just saying. You get what I'm saying?
I do.
And her response was, oh, we didn't know if he might want someone to say anything about it. And then his response was, well, did the other guy, did he say that he didn't want nobody to know or something like that? No, he didn't say anything. Y'all just got him a card just because y'all felt like
it would have been nice if somebody would have just been asked you.
And that too.
Right.
That too.
Right.
So we see how the difference.
So as we were saying with the police brutality, it was noted on NBCnews.com. There wasn't a sharp surge in the number of officer-involved killings of blacks between 2013 and 2015. But there was more public awareness. As I was saying again with the cell phone videos, all these incidents were higher than in previous eras. So basically, police brutality has been around for centuries, a long time. Okay, it's now public awareness.
The thing is, it's been out there.
Yes.
The only difference is it's being recorded.
Yes.
That's the only difference.
Yes.
It's been out there. People been knew about it.
Yes.
People were silent on it some, and then those who were vocal about it really, they didn't get that much attention. It was always washed, or whatever. But it's been out there.
Right. 100%. 100%. Do you think that Americans are more racially divided than in 2008? More.
Now?
Yes.
Yes. The reason why I say that is because with the latest election, the person who lives in that house, he made it, I guess, popular for everybody to really come on out and because they really came out and said how they feel, and his endorsements that he received, like nobody was hiding anything.
Yeah.
They was just out front with it. So yeah, I do.
You do? You all agree?
I think the awareness has changed the outlook on it. Like I feel like people were, they kept their eyes on it. You know how you pay attention to it. But now that you've seen people get shot, now that you've seen these cases, like that young man who ran up in that church and killed all those people and got taken to Burger King on the way to booking. Like
that's life. That's
to
life.
think that those things are current and happening.
Yeah.
Like it's like you are even more aware.
I think I have to disagree just a tad. I think that, now this may be a little controversial, but I think with the awareness now, we have more, as black people, we have more awareness. I guess it's the word I'm really looking for. It's that before is, a lot of, in my experience, a lot of people are like, why y'all always playing the race card? Why y'all always saying this? Why y'all always saying? But now you see why we always say this. Now you see it. And some folks I do know are coming around. You know what I mean? They see the Trumps of the world like, whoa. So it's a little bit of how to disagree on the divide. I think it's actually brought us together now that those who are radically racist, are coming out and being bold. You understand what I'm saying? A little bit?
I think it gives people the opportunity to talk about it.
Yes.
Like I haven't seen this many Facebook videos about, who am I identity, what is race, where did it come from. I've never seen this stuff before. People never talked about it before. But because they're talking about it, I think that has made the conversation, for you to truly have a conversation about privilege, with someone who has no idea
Yes.
what privilege is.
Yes.
Like, I tell people all the time, like, my mom is one in a million out of the hood
Yeah.
to make it out.
Yeah.
And to raise two boys who ain't never been to jail.
Yeah.
Because I can't say that for anybody else in my family. So, like, for people who don't live that, it's so difficult to have that conversation.
Yeah.
And I think until we can figure out how to really talk about this and really get down to what it is, it's going to be a lot of tension.
Absolutely. So we have Chris Michael in the audience. We have a comment on social media.
Hey everybody, we got a comment from Mr. Jacobs. He said people now have the tools to show the world what's really going on. He was talking about the cell phones.
Yes.
Also, I think there's a young lady by the name of Ayala. She said, it makes me feel so bad knowing that such a great country, which is the example of the best democracy in the world, has problems associated with police cruelty to black people. Also, the Korey Martin said, do you think President Trump would be reelected? And if so, why?
I personally don't think he will be, because it's not just the black community that has a problem with Trump. It's the gay community, it's the women. Even though a large majority of white women voted for Trump, I think that a lot of them are really regretting that decision just based off of, you know, the research and the things that I've heard on social media. So I really think that he will not be reelected, if not impeached before the 4 years is up. Because he's upset too many groups of people. It's not just one, you know, like one. He's equally discriminatory. If that makes sense. I think so. Was that more? Okay. Would y'all agree or no?
I'm going to say I wouldn't be surprised.
You wouldn't be surprised if he was reelected?
No.
Really?
I wouldn't. Because the reason why I wouldn't be surprised is because all of the stuff he's done before the election, all of the stuff that came out after the election, basically his whole cabinet done quit, and like honestly, and they had like unqualified people, like all of this stuff, he's still in office.
Yeah.
So I would not be surprised if he's reelected, and I really wouldn't. I mean, I'm very hopeful.
I know, right?
Well.
Right. Another audience comment?
Yeah, well, I have a comment myself. There was a video that went viral yesterday with a young Caucasian lady in the living room sitting talking with her friends, and somebody, I guess, like recorded it, and she was using the N-word like it was no tomorrow. She was like, they all need to die, blah, 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 blah. So I don't know if anybody's seen it yet, but yeah. Also, Isaiah Williams said, I won't put it past him. He shouldn't have been elected this time. Plus, he has a lot of undercover supporters. And we got a message from Mr. Jacobs again. Now that people can see the type of human being Trump is, I believe they will not let it back for another term. We got a message from Janae. She said, but he was like that to begin with. I can't put it past people, to be honest. They've been talking about impeachment for how long? I still haven't seen nothing yet. What do you think?
I mean, I actually would be surprised because I think that not only social media has really made him, he's like our Twitter president. And that's like so unprofessional, and I think a lot of people are really starting to realize that. But I don't know if you all watched the show, and I'm putting out a little shout out, American Horror Story.
Yes.
And the young lady, she snuck, and she was undercover, and she voted for Jill Stein, I think, which split the vote, and she is a lesbian. So she didn't want to tell her wife that she had voted for Jill Stein, which will upset her wife because it would split the vote, and that's how really Trump won the electoral. He didn't even win the popular vote. So I actually would be surprised because I think people are regretting their decision. I could be wrong,
I
but
don't know, but I don't think so.
I think that's.
I think people like his honesty.
You think so? I I don't know.
You know what's crazy? During the election,
Mm-hmm.
it was very funny. Like,
Yes.
When it was
Yes.
him and the other 1,000 other Republicans who was trying to vote for president, it was very funny seeing him like go at them.
Yeah.
And he was very entertaining. And the fact that I just knew he not gonna win. I just
Yeah, everybody
was
was
in the
like, he's not gonna win. He's
I
not
just knew
gonna
he wasn't
win.
getting in there.
Right.
The man is in.
Yeah.
I know, and that's what we all thought. And this is the thing, he's a great businessman. I have to give him that.
Yes.
And, you know, somebody may not like me saying this, but I voted for Hillary, but during the debate, he actually won the debate, in my opinion, because he shut her down on so many occasions in regard to, you know, she would say, oh, you know, he doesn't have to pay taxes, he doesn't have to do this. Well, he's at a place where he didn't have to pay taxes. He's, you know, he got a network of people where he didn't have to pay taxes. Well, it's like you blaming him for being rich and famous. You know, like, and you know, and the thing is, the one argument that he did give towards Hillary. Now, don't be upset with me, y'all. He said to her, "You've been in political eye for 30 plus years. What have you done?" And of course, she said, "I did this. I traveled to this." Blah, 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 blah. I could not name one thing Hillary has done for me in 30 plus years. What has she done?
You wanted her.
I did because I didn't want him. So it was kind of.
And you know what's crazy? That's how a lot of people
Well,
because
that's
they didn't
right.
want her.
Yeah,
He was the lesser
yeah,
in their eyes.
yeah, and right in their eyes. And I think that was the controversy, and that was the thing, because if I was basing my decision solely on the debates, he would have got it, because he had her. Because in 30 plus years, what has Hillary done for any of us but say okay to her husband Clinton for messing up? And say, you know, like, what has she done? Comment in the audience?
Yes, we have another comment from Janae. She said, how do you feel about what Tina Campbell said? She said that she voted for Trump because of her Christian views. Now I say, I don't know what God she's talking to, but she need to go back and talk to somebody else.
She said she voted for Trump because of her Christian values. Well, I think a lot of people went with Trump because of the Christian, because Christianity is against divorce, is against gay marriage, is against abortion, against all these different items. So it was, do I go with my religious choice or do I go with my political, well, my political choice? So it was a balance that people really had to think. This was like, and then as a woman, do I go for the woman because she's a woman, or it was an interesting decision. I think a lot of people made, but I think people who did vote for Trump are now regretting it of how he's acting now.
A lot of her supporters are gay.
Yes.
And she's always around them.
Yes.
So you can't just sugarcoat something when you want to sugarcoat something. I mean, that's my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. Did y'all want to say anything?
I was gonna say that's like trying to pick between your labels. She's
Yes,
not a Christian. She's a black woman who practices Christianity. So
Right. Which one do you actually go
Black
for?
first.
My race or my religion? That's a very interesting point. Yeah, but I mean that's an interesting point. And a lot of people, a lot of women, all that stuff about grabbing the private parts and stuff, a lot of women still went with Trump.
Well,
lot.
I guess they like it red.
Some might.
Well, I guess if it's free for him to do it, I'm going to do it too. I'm going to grab him every time I see him.
Right. Really? They wore shirts and everything.
Yes,
they did.
it's probably a song out coming out soon, or or whatever.
Did you see a lady at the ball that said this one grabs back?
Yeah.
So I can say this election has definitely gone down in history, but brings it back to, are the races more divided? Again, I think we're actually brought closer together, because I know y'all shaking your heads at me, It's almost like they'll put a red light at an intersection if a bad accident happens. If there's a fatality at an intersection, but people have been saying there should be a red light and a red light, but they wait for something bad to happen until they actually fix the problem. So Trump is that thing that actually is bad and is happening. So it's almost like we now have that source to now come together, to talk about it, to have these talk shows, to have these conversations, to be out and about and to learn from each other. I think his mess has actually brought us closer together.
His mess. Okay. Man, I'm not
Still
fully
long
there
way.
with you. I'm not fully there with you,
That's
but
good, okay.
I'm kind of like, okay, his mess is going to make it very, very hard for the next Republican or the next whoever to, get in office because don't nobody want to go through this again.
Yes,
So
yes.
all of the stuff that he's doing as far as like how the world sees us, he's making it very easy, I want to say, for the next person.
Yes.
So, okay, on that.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. His mess is creating togetherness. Because we don't, now there are those select few, but I'm telling you, in my experience, those white supremacists and the neo-Nazis are not the vast majority. They are actually the minority. And now that they feel like Trump is in office, they feel like they now have a voice, which is okay. I don't want you in hiding. If you don't like me because of my skin color, tell me you don't like me. Then I know how to react to you not liking me. I don't want to just assume, but now that there's a conversation, we're able to talk about it, and a neo-Nazi or white supremacist can say, I don't like you, call me the N-word, I now know. Knowledge is power, right? I'd rather you tell me you don't like me than me guessing.
I still believe we're a long way from being.
100%. But just even having the conversation, we're having a vast, diverse audience right now. I mean, it just tells you we've actually grown a lot. I mean, what, 30, 40 years ago, I couldn't sit here and do this show, let alone broadcast live, right? But to have this conversation, I think is the beginning of some great things, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Right.
Another one from Janae, she said, I didn't like how Hillary was like, got hot sauce in my bag.
Ah, okay.
But everybody found it funny. I did.
I get what she
Was she
going
teasing
with
black
that.
people?
No, I don't think that people realize that the Clintons had moved to Harlem. And honestly, like, just because you don't know all the things she's done a lot of things in certain places that people don't know about. A lot of people don't do their research, so they wouldn't know. But
Wait,
if
the
she
Clintons
goes,
moved to Harlem?
they in Harlem. Oh, and you don't even know that.
When they moved to Harlem?
As soon as he left out of the White House, they went to Harlem. And they've been there ever since.
But why they in the hood now? Because he messed up. That's why he in the hood now. Because his people wouldn't take him back.
But whether or not he messed up or not,
I mean, he was a good president, let alone he played the saxophone in Arsenio Hall. So when he did that, he had the black.
you're totally wrong. He was for black people the whole entire time. So whether or not, and there were a lot of people that supported him as well. But he's what you just said was like. It contradicts itself because he was like, what did he do for X, Y, and Z? I told you he was in Harlem and he was like, why he's he to get on now? But they've always been for black people.
Being for black people and living with black people are two different things.
But even though whether they saw it then or saw it now, they're there now and they're trying to make a change. So that should be what everybody's mentality should be, not what they did before, what they're doing now.
Yes.
But she wasn't doing that.
But
She wasn't.
But another thing, like, you don't have to live there to help them and be there.
Absolutely not.
Because I sure don't live there and I help.
Absolutely not.
God bless.
Absolutely not. I agree
As soon
with
as I get
that.
my point, I'm out of here. I'm out.
100%. All right, thank you so much for our audience. Don't go anywhere. We're going to have a performance by The Collective. Yeah! part 2 of Take a Break with Bri. Don't go anywhere. Sit tight.